Have you heard the words dystonia or dyskinesia? Do you wonder what they mean and what they have to do with Parkinson's? If so, you've come to the right place. That's what I'm talking about in this video. Dystonia and dyskinesia are extra movements that can, but don't always, happen with Parkinson's. They're different than the core motor symptoms, which are tremor, slowness, and stiffness. But it can be hard to tell dystonia from dyskinesia, from tremor, from everything else that can happen with Parkinson's. So let's break it down. First, dystonia. Dystonia is a painful muscle contraction or spasm. Many people say it feels like a cramp or a Charlie horse. Dystonia also causes twisting or turning. So it can make your head turn to the side, your toes curl under, or your foot turn inward, for example. Dystonia is more common in younger people, and for some, it can even be the first symptom of Parkinson's disease, often coming on with exercise. Now, let's talk about dyskinesia. Dyskinesia is a little bit faster and a little more rhythmic. So it can look like swaying of the head or the upper body, wriggling or writhing of the arms or the fingertips, or even fidgeting in the legs or feet. Like dystonia, it can happen anywhere in the body from the head down to the toes. Now, a lot of people will say that having dyskinesia is more bothersome for their loved ones to watch than it is for them to experience. But it can be tiring. It takes a lot of energy to move around constantly. And if dyskinesia is really significant, it can even cause weight loss. Dyskinesia is more common the longer you live with Parkinson's and the higher the dose of levodopa you take. That's especially true for younger people and for women. Dystonia and dyskinesia tend to come on at different times related to when you take your medication. So dystonia typically happens when there's not enough medication. That might be early morning, before you take your first dose, or just before your next dose is due and the previous dose is wearing off. Dyskinesia is the opposite. It typically happens when there's too much medication. So other symptoms like tremor or slowness are under good control, but you sort of overshoot and have this extra movement. The longer you live with Parkinson's, the smaller the window becomes between not enough and too much medication, and the harder it is to find the balance between the two. Now, it's important to note that I'm speaking in general terms here. For some people, these symptoms don't follow the rules. So dyskinesia might happen both when medication is and isn't working, like right after you take a dose and before it kicks in, as well as when it's working well. And the same can be true of dystonia. Both of these movements can be extremely disruptive. They can get in the way of doing daily tasks, socializing with others, and even walking, keeping your balance, or exercising. But there are many treatment options. Because treatment differs for dystonia and dyskinesia, it's important to know which you have. To help figure that out, there are two things you can do. The first is to keep a log for a few days. You can note when you have the extra movement, how long before or after your medication it comes on, and how long it lasts. As we talked about earlier, knowing when the movement happens in relation to when you take your medication is a key piece of information. Second, take a short video for your doctor. Seeing the actual movement can be so helpful in telling the difference between dystonia, dyskinesia, tremor, and other symptoms of Parkinson's. From there, you can talk about treatments. For many, that may be to adjust Parkinson's medication, especially levodopa. For dystonia, your doctor might recommend you take higher doses more often, or you add other medications to boost the effect of levodopa. For dyskinesia, your doctor might recommend you take smaller doses more often. Or you might take another medication that specifically targets dystonia or dyskinesia. For dystonia, that could be pills or injections like Botox to help relax the muscles. For dyskinesia, it might be a different kind of pill to lessen that extra movement. And for some people, surgery or medication infusions may be an option too. These treatments aim to lessen the amount of medication you need or to keep those medication levels more consistent so that you have fewer highs and lows that can lead to dyskinesia or dystonia. The bottom line is that dystonia and dyskinesia are extra movements that can, but don't always, happen in Parkinson's. If they do, there are many treatments and more on the way to help ease them. For more on dystonia, dyskinesia, and other symptoms of Parkinson's, visit our Ask the MD page at michaeljfox.org/ask-md.